Welcome to the 13-inch Retina Macbook Pro Take-Apart Guide. The model number for this machine is A1425. You will first need to remove the bottom pan. To do so, you will need a 1.2mm 5-point star pentalobe screwdriver. This screwdriver was previously known as the MacBook Air pentalobe, because up until now, the MacBook Air was the only machine that used this screw. There are 10 pentalobe screws in the bottom of the machine that have to be removed. Now that all the screws are removed, you'll need to firmly lift on the bottom pan to take it off. The first thing you want to do now is to disconnect the battery to avoid shorting out the logic board. To do that, first remove the sticker covering the battery connector. Now remove the 3 T6 screws. Once the 3 screws are removed, lift the battery cable up and off the logic board. Now to remove the flash memory. First, disconnect the flex cable from the logic board located here, and then squeeze the latch and lift the compartment out. To remove the flash memory from the compartment, you will need a T5 screwdriver to remove the screw. Now use the flat end of your nylon spudger tool to lift the memory stick up and then pull on it to slide it out. It's important to remember to place the memory stick in an anti-static bag to guard it from static electricity and shorting it out. Now to remove the speaker assemblies. There are 3 T5 screws in each speaker assembly that have to be removed. One screw is covered by a small piece of silver foam. Use the pointed end of your spudger tool to remove the foam and then remove the screw. Once the right speaker assembly is loose, you can unroute the speaker cable and then use your nylon spudger tool to help you unplug the cable from the logic board. Next, follow the same procedure for the left speaker assembly. Remove the 3 T5 screws from the assembly. Again, there is a small piece of silver foam that will need to be removed. Before you can unplug the speaker cable from the logic board, you must first unplug the headphone board flex cable. Once the headphone board flex cable is unplugged and moved up and out of the way, you can then use your flat side of the nylon spudger tool to unplug the speaker cable from the logic board, and then remove the speaker assembly. Next, you can unplug the wireless antenna cables from the airport card by using the pointed side of your spudger tool to lift them up. There are 3 antenna cables that will need to be unplugged. Now that the antennas are unplugged, you can then remove the T5 screw from the airport card and then slide the airport card out of the logic board. Now to remove the heatsink and fans. You will first need to remove the left I/O board flex cable that sits on top of the left fan. You can use your spudger tool to help you lift it up if you need to. Now unplug the EyeSight cable from the logic board and unroute the cable, as it sits on top of the left fan as well. Next, use the flat side of your spudger tool to remove the plastic screw caps that hold down the heatsink. Once the screw caps have been removed, you can then use your T5 screwdriver to remove the 4 T5 screws from the heatsink assembly. Now remove the 3 T5 screws from the left fan assembly. Now remove the 3 T5 screws from the right fan assembly, and then there is 1 T5 screw on the heatsink assembly as well. Then on the other side of the heatsink, there is 1 small Phillips screw that will need to be removed. Now you can lift the heatsink assembly up and out. Now use your spudger tool to lift the flex cable lock for the right fan assembly, and then unplug the cable so you can remove the fan. Next, use your spudger tool to lift the lock and unplug the right fan flex cable, and then you can remove the fan. Now to remove the left I/O board. First, remove the left I/O board cable from the logic board by pulling it out to unplug it. Then remove the 2 screws from the I/O board. The upper screw is a T5 and the screw closest to the hinge is a T8. After the screws are removed, the I/O board can then be lifted out. Now to remove the logic board, you will need to unplug the LVDS cable by flipping the metal latch holding it in place and then slide the cable out of the logic board. Next, lift the battery board up to reveal the Trackpad flex cable. Flip the latch on the logic board and then slide the Trackpad flex cable out. Then remove the black tape from the top case flex cable. Flip the latch on the logic board, and then slide the top case cable out. Next, remove the black tape holding down the microphone flex cable. Lift the latch on the logic board, and then slide the cable out. Now use the flat side of your 9-line spudger tool to lift the backlight flex cable up from the logic board to unplug it. Next, remove the 6 T5 screws from the logic board. and then remove the two T5 screws from the MagSafe board. Then lift the logic board up to remove it. Located here, you will see that you can remove the small battery bridge board by simply lifting it up and off the logic board. This is the piece that connects the battery to the logic board. Now from the bottom side of the logic board, you can unplug the MagSafe board. Remember to store your logic board in an anti-static bag to guard it from static electricity and getting shorted out. Now remove the two T5 screws holding down the headphone board. Once the two screws are out, you can then remove the board. To remove the trackpad, remove the 4 Phillips screws from the trackpad mounts. Then remove the 6 T5 screws from the large battery cell. There are 3 screws on each side. Now that the large battery cell is loose, slide the trackpad flex cable under the battery. Then use the flat side of your spudger tool to slide it under the trackpad flex cable to lift it up. There is adhesive holding it in place. Slide the flex cable through the small opening of the casing, and then remove the adhesive so the trackpad can be removed. Now remove the 2 rubber hinge screw covers from both hinges. Then remove the 6 T8 screws from the hinges. There will be 3 screws in each hinge. Now remove the metal clutch caps by removing the T5 screw that holds them in place. There is 1 on each side. Now carefully lean the top case down to separate it from the display.